Okay. So we're talking about from brushing your teeth on down. Okay. Give me a second here. Give me a second. We need to do this. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. Good morning. Good morning, guys. So, so everything you do is subconscious. Okay. When you do it in repetition, your subconscious learns it, and then it gets committed to muscle memory. Muscle memory. What is that? Is that like working out in the gym? That's part of it. Okay. But muscle memory is a term, okay, describing the repetition that you do because your subconscious learns to do it better than your conscious mind. Okay? So when your subconscious learns to perform an action better than your conscious mind, we call it muscle memory. Okay? Now, yesterday we were talking about intuition and how you should follow your intuition, okay? Or that feeling that you get. Good morning, Jay. That feeling that you get, okay? And why it's important to follow your intuition, okay? Now, the subconscious gives you your habits, okay? Because first, you form a habit through repetition. Then your subconscious repeats it, okay? So a lot of people don't really understand why they have the habits they have. You know, you see people or hear people go, oh, I just have a habit of doing that. I don't know why I do that. I just have a habit of doing that. It's your subconscious, okay? So, good morning, Celine. Good morning, Edwin. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, AE. All right. So muscle memory, right? When you commit it to muscle memory, that says that your body knows how to do it better than your conscious mind. Okay, so muscle memory is talking about your body. Now, the other thing that we were talking about is self-talk and how it is easily turned into negative self-talk. Why is that? Because human beings are the only ones that can observe themselves in motion in real time. Animals don't have that capability. Okay, so animals have this one experience like this, that's all they have. Okay, but we see ourselves, we observe ourselves because we, okay, have the power, okay, of observation of ourselves. We can remove ourselves from ourselves through awareness. Okay, we are awareness basically, and that's what makes us all one. Okay, so esoterically, when people talk about, in religion, when they say we are all one, we are all God's children, what they're really talking about is we are all awareness. So if you can observe your thoughts, if you can observe your actions, then you're performing your actions physically, right? You're performing your thoughts through the conscious mind. But if you can observe all these things in real time, who's doing the observing? It's awareness. Okay. So I know. Think about it, and yeah, you'll get it. I know for some people it's like, what? What's that? Explain that. Okay. No, but you are aware. Okay. Animals are not aware. Well, they have limited awareness. They just have that one experience. We can observe ourselves in motion. Therefore, we tend to critique ourselves in motion. Not only that, okay, but through the subconscious, we hold things against ourselves when we make bad decisions because we are aware that we're making bad decisions. Okay? And karma happens because what goes around comes around through the subconscious. Okay, and this is what the Bible is talking about. Okay, being that it's Sunday, we'll reference this a little bit. The Bible talks about this. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. What it's talking about is when you do wrong to others or when you do something bad to somebody, it's in your subconscious because you are aware. It's in your subconscious. So what happens? Well, unless you purge, or let's say repent, or let's say dissolve those negative feelings, okay? How else can you do it? Well, you can clear them, okay? Hawaiian ho'oponopono is a thing. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Clear, okay? Or you can repent, okay? That's more religious. That's more along the lines of Christianity, okay? But when you do this, then you clear, then you erase, then you are forgiven, okay? Good morning, Jay. So why is it important to watch your words? Because your subconscious is listening. Okay, why is it important to do unto others in a good way? because your subconscious registers it. So if you're doing something good for somebody, or you're going, maybe you have a good attitude towards somebody, that's your paradigm, what happens? You get rewarded for that. How? You feel good. What happens when you feel good? You manifest things easily, very easily. Let's say it another way. You get blessings. Okay? God is very real. And people ask me all the time, "Oh, uncle, what about God?" My first mentor used to tell me, what about God? And I used to get sassy with him because I was 13 years old. And I go, what about God? And then he would tell me about God. And then he took me to Bible study. And then, so I will tell you that the Jesus story, okay, is the one truth, okay? Because it's written in the stars. Check it out. It's astrotheology, okay? So a lot of people are like, well, no, that's not really true. Yes, it is. It's very true. And it's astrological. Okay, so of course in the Bible it tells you not to rely on astrology and all of these things. Well, God created everything. Okay, you're not supposed to rely on astrology. You're supposed to have faith. You're supposed to have faith in here because God lives in here. Okay, the kingdom is within. Jesus Christ told us that. The kingdom is within. So your faith is not supposed to be up there in the stars. Okay, but as above, so below. As above, so below. As within, so without. The universal law of correspondence tells us this. And I always say, when you see somebody with a messy desk, they're messy in here. When you see somebody very organized, they're organized in here. Everything out here in their immediate vicinity is a reflection of everything in here. So careful observation tells you everything you need to know about people. The eyes are the mirrors of the soul. The voice is the mirror of the feelings and emotions. When you know how to read a pair of eyes and you know how to listen to a voice, you can tell a lot about a person. Then take a look, right? You see people with multiple degrees. You see people with maybe no degrees, maybe a lot of money, maybe a lot of success and no degrees. Okay, these are all variables. But whatever you notice in their immediate vicinity, the condition of the inside of their car, the condition of their house, how they live, their friends. This is why they say, show me 5 of your closest friends and I will tell you who you are. This is because like attracts like. Like-mindedness. People with the same habits. People with the same things that they enjoy. So we have different communities. We have the football community, right? Everybody enjoys football. They're all together. They pick their teams. They do all of that. Like attracts like. Like-minded people, okay? Also the same vibrational people, so people on your vibration. The thing about raising your vibration, or let's say getting to a better mood, or elevating your mood to a better state, removes you from the prior vibration, okay? And then you discover that when you go to the store, you don't run into those people anymore. Oh, your life changed, right? Different chapter, like that, okay? So this is what vibrational level ups are. They're emotional states. They're not resonant states like in science. So the subconscious regulates all of this because the subconscious learns in repetition. So let's say you have acquired a habit for cookies. I always use the cookie example, right? You go to a party, say, oh, can I have a cookie? Oh, sure, yeah. Here, have a cookie. Wow, that's a good cookie. Can I have another cookie? Sure, here, have another cookie. Pretty soon, later on in the evening, it's like, hey, where do you get those cookies? Oh, we get them from Costco. A couple days later, you're in the line in Costco, holding the bag of cookies, and you're like, I have a cookie habit. You see? But the opposite is also true. Okay, so what is the opposite? Well, getting rid of bad habits. Is it easy to get rid of a bad habit? Yeah, it is. Just as easy as forming a new habit. Just as easy. But you have to go through the motions. The subconscious learns in repetition. Good morning, Diaman. You used to work in a 2-star motel, face problems with guests every day, still have that trauma. Okay. Take a look at how you're dealing with your guests or what kinds of problems they're having. It could be something in the motel. If it's is this a facility issue or is this a personality issue, Diamant? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. It was? Okay. They used to treat you bad. Okay. So here's what you need to know about that. So whenever someone sees something in you that they do not like about themselves, they tend to react that way. Okay? And when you see it happening in someone else, also recognize that there's something in here that you don't like about you in here that you're seeing in a reflection of them. And it could be just one thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a, really bad thing. It could be something just a little irritating. And that will cause you to react in a different way. And that will prompt a reaction. So every action has a reaction. Because of the facility, I'm sorry, guys. I need to move over here. Because of the facility, they get mad at you. Well, okay. So some people are like that. They're impatient. I would talk to your management and see if they can adjust things in the facility. They're taking it out on you because you represent the facility, basically. So yeah. So now let's refer back to the subconscious and esoteric knowledge. So esoterically, because it's Sunday, I'm going to mention a few of these things. Esoterically, the Holy Bible is the owner's manual for this one. Okay? So yesterday we were talking about the left brain and the right brain and the functions thereof, each respective side. Intuitive thought comes from the right. Creativity comes from the right. Inspiration, imagination, they're all right brain processes. Now on the left side, you have logic. On the left side, people try to figure things out. Okay? Problem solving. Left side. Human beings have a tendency to try to figure out things that really don't need figuring out. Only because thoughts a day on average, 80,000. The conscious mind is also the gatekeeper. So when you think a thought, when it just pops in your mind, you could look at something and get an idea and you think a thought. If that thought is negative, say stop. Or say no. And then switch your thinking to something else. So a good thing is to have, I don't have it with me right now, because we're actually on Instagram as well this morning on another camera. But when you make a screensaver for your phone, okay, or lock screen, okay, and make a vision board. Now the vision board doesn't have to be multiple pictures if you don't want it to be. It could be just one thing. Okay, Okay, let's say a new house is a target. So you take a picture of the kind of house you want and you put it on your lock screen. When you get a negative thought and you say stop and you pick up your phone and you look at your lock screen, there's your vision board. Now you switch your thinking. Let's say it another way. You distract yourself into something positive. The problem that human beings have is that they entertain negativity too much. They begin thinking of things they don't want rather than things they do want. And the more you focus on what you don't want, right, it amplifies it energetically. Okay, so let's talk about the spiritual side of the human being. I'm not talking about religious dogma. I'm talking about the energy in here. You're not your body, you're not your name, you're the energy that lives in here. But this energy is the co-creator with God. Now, we say superconscious for sake of this discussion, these discussions, because we don't want to offend anybody. So however you believe, if you believe in God, Jesus Christ, Allah, whoever you believe, whatever you believe, insert belief system under the subconscious, superconscious label. Good evening, Maxine. How you doing? Welcome back. Thank you. So, when you get a thought, right? If you dismiss the thought, you say stop. And then you focus on something pleasant. So the easy way is to look at a picture, right? Some people put their dog on their lock screen. Some people put their significant other, their babies, their children, something pleasant, something you enjoy, something you love, hopefully something you love. You should focus on two things: things you love and people you love. That's it. That's it. People spend too much time thinking, about things they don't want, and they start bringing those things closer and closer, and these things start occurring in their lives. Thoughts become things. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So the process happens when the conscious mind gets an idea, and maybe that idea is a negative idea, or you look at something. We were talking about preconceived judgment the other day. So when you look at something and you judge, right? In the Bible it says, judge not and ye shall not be judged. Why is that? Because when you judge something, it goes into your subconscious. If you keep judging things, and we do it all the time, we formulate opinions, okay? But if the opinion goes into your subconscious with emotion, strong emotion, it becomes a habit. And then you wonder why you're so judgmental. Or other people will view you as being judgmental. It's easy to see. You don't have to be so astute as to, observe those things. Those are easy. But the subconscious learns to be judgmental. The subconscious learns to be happy. The subconscious learns to be short-tempered. So it depends on the way you're thinking. When you start stopping the negative thoughts and entertaining the positive thoughts, you're going to notice the shift. And the shift happens in about 2 weeks. It happens in about 2 weeks. But it takes consistency. I'm not going to say self-disciplined, although you could apply that label. But when you do that, people back away. They go, what? Self-discipline? Oh, it's too much work. And this is why so many people rely on exterior things to solve their problems. We go to the lawyer because we don't want to study law. Not everybody has time to do it. It's not realistic, right? Okay, but we go to the lawyer. Okay, when we want something to be solved in here, we tend to go to the therapist. We go to the life coach. We go to the, like this. But just know that everything is resolvable. Mostly everything is resolvable in here, unless it's organic. When you change the way you think about things, the things you think about change. Okay, when you change your perception of it, we talked about that one day too. So let's recap that briefly. When you see something that presents itself negatively, use some patience. Become the observer. Okay, which means you basically put your judgment in neutral. So you don't judge, you observe. And slowly you will see the perception shift. Why? Why does this happen? Because there's two sides to everything. If you look for the good in something, you will find it. If you look for the bad in something, you will find it. So if you're negative in here, okay, and you look at things out here, and you find yourself pronouncing negative judgment on a bunch of things, it doesn't necessarily mean that those things are negative, although they may be. It means you have a problem in here that needs to be corrected. Why? Because everything has a negative tinge to it. And you're going to know that by the way you feel. Because the feeling you get will be a negative one. And you can tell, right? But you need to change it in here. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, and prayer. Okay? Prayer is asking. The formula is ask, believe, receive. For you Christians, it's Sunday, Mark 11:24. There you go. Okay, Matthew 22:23. It's all over. It's all over the Bible. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the Torah. It's in the Quran. They just present it in different ways. But it's about the kingdom within. There is no out there. There is only nature out there and things from other people's in here out there. That's all that's out there. God lives in here. Your higher power lives in here. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you for the rose. You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Rosanna. Good morning, Rosanna. Okay, for some reason, I have some giant print on my screen over there. I hope you guys are seeing the broadcast clearly. So how do you clean up what's out here? You clean up what's in here. That's the fastest way. Okay, now, we have eyes. So our eyes are directed away from the kingdom. The kingdom is within. When we look away from the kingdom, we seek solutions. Seek and ye shall find, right? You don't seek out there. You seek in here. You seek with the right side. You cast your net to the right side. Jesus sits at the right side, okay? At the right hand of the Father, not the left. Esoterically, it's talking about the right hemisphere of the brain. That's your connection to God. That's your connection to the superconscious. So the role of the conscious mind is gatekeeper, number one, to keep bad thoughts out. Say stop. When you say stop, you'll get another thought, and another thought, and another thought, because that's the job of the conscious mind, to be consciously aware. The subconscious learns in repetition. So the thought you keep thinking goes into your subconscious as a belief. Now the subconscious will pull confirmations of it. Okay. So for example, if you have a bad habit, okay, it's already committed to muscle memory, which means your body does it better than your conscious mind. So how does that affect you? How do you change it? You change it with repetition, the same way you learned it. Same exact way. Okay? Because your subconscious learns to do things without thought. You're not thinking about it. It just happens. sometimes you go, whoa, I didn't even plan on doing that, and I did it, and I, right? And you get the results. So your subconscious is processing information faster than your conscious mind can act. Faster, because it's already committed. It's a program. Boom, it happens like that. And this is why in sports, they train their subconscious. And they get faster. They get more skilled. They get more precise. They get more exact. Because their body is doing it faster than their conscious mind can think. It's committed to memory. Okay? Now, triggers. Let's talk about triggers. Okay? External stimuli. Something out here, external, that creates the reaction of something that's already in your subconscious. Okay? Emotional behavior responses, it's already in your subconscious because it happened before. Your subconscious is the book of life. It records everything. So when something resembles some experience in the past, maybe he looks like the kind of guy that did this, that to you. Now you start forming a consensus, right? You start forming an opinion. Okay, we talked about that, right? Preconceived judgment. But that's a trigger because it's alarming because, hey, this happened to me before. That looks like the same kind of guy, right? Okay? Or that looks like the same kind of girl, or this looks like the same kind of job, or this looks like the same kind of thing, right? If you've let go of your shame, fear, can I reach back out to my ex after 5 months if I've reflected? Okay, let me answer. That's a relationship question. Let me answer that in a second. I'll get to that, Enterprise Philly. I'll get to that. So, right? When you get these triggers, just know it's pulling from your subconscious, from memory, from experience. Okay? And now your conscious mind identifies it and goes, hey, look at that. And your subconscious goes, boom. There's the judgment. Instantaneously, you scan it. So with my clients, what's important for me to do is to point out every significant improvement that they make. Why? Because as soon as I go, oh, remember when you whatever, when you couldn't do this, now you can do this. You see how you can do this now? When I point that out to them, the subconscious goes, scan. Whew. Sound effect. Okay? The subconscious will scan the body because the subconscious is all of your senses. It's a culmination of all of your senses. The subconscious will register the thought. So if I say, you see how you could do this now, and you couldn't do this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, or you couldn't pull off this decision 2 or 3, whatever it is. And I tell them, I'm not looking for kudos. I'm not looking for recognition of it or whatever. It's not about me. It's about you. I'm doing it so that you call to mind in your subconscious that, yes, I've changed. Yes, I made progress. What it does is it accentuates the learning. It speeds up the learning process, right? When you point out the things that people do well, okay, and this is for you people that have children or younger people or supervise people or in charge of people, when you recognize what's going good, okay, you start pushing out what's going wrong instead of pointing out what's going wrong. Okay? Don't use negatives, only positives. Never do I tell my clients, okay, that's not like that, or that doesn't work like that, or that's wrong. Never once. Why? Because it builds walls. Then at the end of the session, they walk away going, oh, Junior said I did this wrong. Junior said, this not like this. Junior said, and now what? Well, now their subconscious begins to, right, through negative self-talk, right? Junior said I did this, right? And who are they talking about? They're talking about themselves. They're talking about the fact that I said, right, something negative about them, and then, oh yeah, maybe he's right. Yeah, I did that wrong. Yeah, okay. And then they start repetition. Now it goes into their subconscious, and now I have another job to do next session. Now I have to get rid of that. So be careful what you receive from third party, from an external party. Let's just say it that way. Okay? Be careful what you receive, what you allow. If somebody starts off with a negative whatever, inside, in here, say stop. Switch your thinking to something else. You know, sometimes for me it's row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Inside. The outside looks like this. Oh, okay. Oh. You see? What am I doing? I am reinforcing the gatekeeper to guard my subconscious. Okay. Because you don't want to add junk into the subconscious if you're trying to reprogram it. Or let's say it another way. If you're trying to form good habits to counter bad habits that exist now, you don't want to construct more bad habits or more negative thinking. Because what does that do? That diminishes your self-esteem, your self-confidence. And it'll put you in the gutter, in the mental gutter, in the emotional gutter. And that's never a good thing. Okay? You are the highest form of intelligence on the planet. You can rise above everything in here if you cast your net to the right. Okay? The lean not unto your own understanding part is about the left brain. Logic. That's your understanding, right? And that's ego. And the ego thinks it knows best 24/7. When you surrender the ego, okay, that means you switch your thinking to the right side and receive the intuitive messages that you get from the right side and trust that, you'll make better decisions. Okay, so let me address that. So the comment was, if I've let go of my shame, fear, can I reach back out to my ex after 5 months if I've reflected? Okay, well, that's a good thought. That's a good thought. Now, your ex, you know, we don't know, I don't know what condition your ex is in. If your ex is open, yeah, you can reach out. So don't believe the things that you know, no contact this, no contact that. Don't believe all that stuff. You know, you can certainly make contact, but here's what I'm going to tell you. When you make contact, you have to be willing to suffer a loss, okay? And you're going to feel it, and it's going to sting, okay? So let me go back over here, okay? Sorry, I had to adjust the chat. You have to be willing to suffer a loss, okay? Because you don't know, okay? Because you don't have control over someone else's free will, okay? That's the only thing. Now, if your ex, let's say your ex misses you, and your ex, you know, because that happens a lot, you know? Sometimes our ex misses us, and sometimes, you know, we're like, oh, you know, I miss her, and on the other side of the fence, right, there's no contact going on. On the other side of the fence, it's like, oh, I miss him, or I miss her, or whatever, okay? And one of you breaks the ice. If the other one agrees, then fine. If the other one does not agree, you're going to suffer a loss, okay? So you will either not get a response. Okay, we were talking about the laws of power the other day, so I'll briefly go over that for you, Enterprise. But you have to be willing to take a loss, okay? And to deal with it is I mean, it's not difficult to deal with the loss, but you're going to have to be willing to put yourself out there and risk the loss, Okay, now let me tell you what I'm talking about. So we discussed the other day about the tennis match and the laws of power. So you have the server here, okay? And if you contact, you're the server, okay? And this person is the other side, the other tennis player, okay? This tennis match. This person serves the ball. The ball goes into the court, it bounces out of the court, okay? This person just stands there. This person scored a point. Who has the power? The majority of people that I talk to, my clients, when they first come in, they go, well, the guy that scored the point has the power. No. Okay. You know that expression, shoot your shot? He shot his shot. But because there was no response, but because there was no action on the part of the opponent, there is no game. Therefore, he controls the game. Okay? So be very selective of how you put yourself out there. Why? Because you have power energetically. Okay, I'm talking about the power in here. You're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here. You only lose your power when you use your power. When you retain your power, you retain your strength. When you reach out, it's the server hitting the ball across the net. Okay? I'm not saying it's a game. I'm just saying it's an exchange. Have you ever reached out to somebody with a text and never gotten an answer? You feel empty in here because you've given of yourself. Okay? Energetically. I know this goes a little deep, but this is what it is. It is what it is. Okay? Because you put yourself out there in the form of a text, in the form of an email, in the form, it doesn't matter what form. Okay? But you initiated this action. If you don't get a reaction, or if you get a negative reaction, it's still good to retain your power. Now, if you So we're talking about your soul, spirit, whatever you want to call the energy in here, okay? And that's my answer. Okay? So just be careful and be respectful. Be very respectful. Okay? Approach it with love. If you approach things with love, okay? What I was talking about earlier, the perception thing, if you approach things with love, with a good heart, okay? With positive expectation, okay? Meaning expecting the best possible outcome in love, with compassion, with understanding. You cannot go wrong in that way. Why? Because even if you feel empty in the end, even if something happens and say you don't get a response back, but if you've reached out with love, compassion, better about it, yeah, you're still gonna feel sad. Yeah, you're still gonna feel down. Yeah, you're still gonna feel, oh man, didn't work. Okay? But then you pray, then you meditate, okay? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, and prayer, or however you believe, whatever you believe, okay? But you will have to heal, okay? And we don't use healing, all do, when they're able to push down their PTSD, because they all do. We call it a healing. Because if you're not suffering from something, you've been healed from it. But we use it in the spiritual context. So I need to say that. Okay. But there's your answer. Teresa, hi Teresa. Thank you for your comment. You were with her for 2 years. Oh, that's a considerable amount of time. For context, yes. So do it with a good heart. Do it respectfully and with love. And if you don't hear from her, then she's, it's been 5 months. Maybe she's moved on, and you're gonna have to accept that. If not, then you'll get back together and you'll be happy. Okay? Good luck on that. Okay. How much power does one need to retain? It depends on how you. Spirit and the separation thereof. The body houses the spirit, but there's a separation there. When you throw your spirit out of your body at someone in anger, what happens? You shake, right? People shake like this. Why? Because they've taken their energy and they've forced it out there. Bam! They yell, they scream, they swear, whatever they do. And I'm talking about a negative action, okay? Not cheering at a football game, not that kind of thing. You don't shake from that, do you? You only shake from anger. And at that point, we say, he's lost it. Oh, Bob lost it. You see Bob the other night? He lost it. Okay? So when you, okay,